Hello and welcome to Cipheros. Today we're gonna compare CSS and SASS. We will have a project that probably is pretty different to the other exemplars. Now I want to talk about SASS as seriously something better than CSS and not just another programming language. How can I explain this? Keep on this video. CSS and SASS as CSS extensions. I am sure that you've heard about CSS or SASS at least once. You were curious about a project and then you've seen that there was an edit there. This is a CSS SASS edit on CodePen. Actually, this is because SASS is really popular as a way to maximize the CSS powers. Therefore, it's time to update your knowledge if you haven't. Incorporating CSS or SASS into your skill set can significantly improve the coding process. I understand that some individuals, the programmers, coders, approach to this sort of minimalism when it comes to programming languages, okay? They're trying to maximize efficiency on the few ones they use and opting not to learn too many ones, okay? Yet, in spite of seeing like new languages, CSS and SASS are more accurately described as expansions of the CSS idea. Imagine them as evolving your regular CSS into higher states, okay? Each offering an increment of the syntax functionalities and simplicity perspective. Now, take Agumon for this example. I like to refer to Greymon, because CSS is actually really powerful. If CSS was on that champion stage, which is Greymon, CSS would be considered the perfect state, referring to Metal Greymon, which is a comparison that reflects how CSS boosts the capabilities of CSS and adding more power, more complexity on the language. On the other hand, SASS represents the ultimate stage, which is also an evolution, okay? But I like here to refer to what Greymon do it to be theoretically smaller and simple than Metal Greymon. It's more powerful in theory, okay, than its processors because of its stronger capabilities by being minimalist. Therefore, it's not about learning something from zero, but expanding your knowledge. And here you have an image that I've made about this representation, which I actually like a lot. SCSS is an acronym for Sassy Cascade Style Sheets, which introduce a grade of SASS functionalities to your code, making it more dynamic and efficient. Unlike its counterpart, SCSS retains the familiar syntax of vanilla CSS, making it easier to be learned from new coders, okay, or new programmers, or just as a transition. CSS and SCSS have the same exact syntax, just we have more functionalities on this last one. As you can see on this first source, this is as SCSS and CSS class because it's exactly the same thing, and it doesn't matter how we write it, okay, just respecting some rules like the point and comma symbol, we get the same result for this case. We have a class with a width of 90%, display grid, and gap 2.5. Nevertheless, SASS presents itself aesthetically different, okay? It behaves like Python, where it has line identities, okay? Each line counts for the code's performance and outcome as well. Each line is identified as something important of the code, okay? Not like the recent example. With that said, the need for the semicolon symbol is obsolete, allowing for a clear, syntax. Say goodbye to the point command and curly braces as well. This is the SASS code. You can see there's no curly braces, no commas, but each line is identified as something, okay? And if we modify just like this, we'll get an awful code that will not work. With that said, we've established a strong foundation for our comparison. SCSS and SASS offer significant advantages over the vanilla version, okay? We'll delve into how we can reduce code blocks, get a professional setup, as well as utilizing functions to enhance our programming process front end, but it will work as well. While you may think that since CSS is improving to a point in which SCSS and SASS are no longer necessary, well, I like to emphasize again that yes, CSS is becoming better, but these enhanced versions are yet powerful features to surpass our current workflow. I suggest you to embrace them no matter what the scope you have, okay? And to clarify this perfectly, Let's begin by contrasting the latest CSS features that may lead you to think on this way. Especially we'll examine variables and nesting, which in spite of being no more exclusive for SCSS and SASS features still demonstrate superiority, okay, when it comes to functionality and performance. Yet, we're not gonna be a fanboys of CSS and SASS. We have a curious fact which is really fun, that CSS wins. By the way, before getting to the first point, we're gonna refer to SCSS and SASS only as this last name because they behave equally, okay, and I am repeating SCSS and SASS. It's too much. Number one, SASS variables and nesting offer distinct advantages, although nesting is perceived nowadays as slightly less superior compared to the other one because vanilla CSS has incorporated. However, both features play crucial roles during the compilation into vanilla CSS. The challenge comes when we consider model, a term that stands for the latest language features utilized in project development. While adopting new techniques to enhance performance and maximizing the results with minimized effort is beneficial, there are instances where browsers may struggle to load all these variables, files, etc. Extensions such as SASS, we can effectively translate our code into well-supported lines, ensuring compatibility and eliminating potential browser loading issues. Here's what I am referring to. When we set a variable on the root, which means that any class, any block of the CSS file can access it, we set the variable with this color, and then when it's loaded first, the browser will read the first lines, obviously, and then a deep class is read on this part, on this background variable, and the browser have to get again to the root and then place this to this variable. Therefore, CSS will set the variable during the load, as you can see. Yet on SASS or CSS, it doesn't matter if it's placed on the, just have to be global. We set the variable here, the background, when we see the compiled file, it's gonna be presented. A deep with fake background, okay? For instance, in large scale projects loading, CSS variables can make difficulties to the user, particularly when scattered throughout the style sheet, leading to potential delay and awful experiences. This issue underlines the dynamic nature of our public, okay, where every second actually counts, first impressions matter. And remember that the majority of people scrolls on their phones, get into a web page, overlook it for a second or for a few instants, and then reach out to engage once again for the same cycle. So if we don't catch them on the first side, seriously, we're lost. CSS variables declared on the root level can soften these challenges by centralizing their distribution. However, this scenario still impacts on loading times, okay? And in the spirit of sounding an exaggeration, we must exaggerate for the same reason, because it's an exaggeration. By compiling SASS into typical CSS lines, variables are integrated directly to the compiled file. This functionally enhances loading performance, okay, as variables are readily accessible without the need for distribution during the browser initialization. The World Wide Web is a wide battlefield where attracting users' attention is the priority. If these decorations you said, okay, your properties are hard to load, you will lose. At least that you use a proper practice. Thus, optimizing loading performance becomes essential, and because SASS offers a superior choice, we will prefer it. By the other hand, just like CSS variables, nesting is one of the latest features we've got from the developers of this language. Once again, that's why we call it modern CSS during their use. As you can see on the follow images, CSS nesting finds itself on a better position than variables, okay? However, it's not yet supported, okay? We go into exaggeration again, but just in comparison, the CSS grid layout, okay? But it's just facts to consider if you want to enhance compatibility as much as you can. Number two, using SASS is a sure grind. SASS is designed to facilitate the process of code reusing, and we have different ways to do that. So let's compare three different approaches to reuse classes or CSS using the placeholder selectors and extend and mixins methods. We're going to see how to use each one on different cases, connecting SASS files via the add import method. Let's say we have an horizontal card, a class of horizontal card representing a card element style. So now suppose that we need to create 3 additional ones below. For me, the layout just like the follow. Although the horizontal card shares many attributes with the other ones, okay, it's just padding, border, etc. It differs with a width and flex direction. To address this, we can employ the extend method on the vertical card class while adjusting the necessary properties to get the desired result. Just like this part, for example, a vertical card, extend, horizontal card with 100% of flex direction row. We are just modifying the width and the flex direction. Take in mind that while there is no exact amount of times we can reuse a class with the extend method, we tend to regularize it, for example, 3 times or less. When it comes to more elements, properties, etc., if this value is greater, you can pass through the use of placeholder selectors or regular mixins. Now, the use of placeholder selectors has the objective of creating class templates to apply them with the previous method already discussed. If the extension is never declared, the class isn't compiled. Therefore, you will only see it when it's used, but never the attributes inside of the percentage sign. And yes, this responds to the typical beginner approach to create a CSS class that repeats common attributes with the goal of applying them onto the HTML and everything becomes a mess. However, it's not necessary. With this placeholder, you can keep separate those files while still having that connect. This is an example about how to use this one. Card base, okay, this class is never rigged by the way because CSS will not support it. But when we declare this extend card base and on the vertical and horizontal one, this block of code will be read there and there respectively. And obviously consider the width and flex direction that each class of card have exclusively. Finally, mixins are used when the amount of times to reuse a code is really noticeable. It has more dynamization and process of on goals of reusability. They need to make them to be more flexible with parameters. Exactly, this brings us the possibility of entering into the smartly world of code reusability. With this access to create our own templates. Now, this is gonna be a demonstration for the mixin. Okay, how does it work? We have an HTML. Okay, this is simple actually. HTML, the class container where there are the buttons. Okay, hello. Now we create a mixin. Okay, create your button color, lettering false. Okay, we'll see how what I am referring to with this. We have a button. Okay, and we'll customize it. Background transparent, color. Group the color, radius with 0.15, for example, padding and transition. Okay, we have it. And when we cover it with this ampersand, we have background with the color and of the text. Lettering hover is not false. We'll have an effect. Now, this is a block of code we're gonna reuse, and when we target the class and we say include create your button with the parameter color green and lettering hover true, it's not gonna be false. When we hover this button, we have this effect. Obviously, we can customize it as we want. For example, with 25%, and we get the same effect. Okay, I will just modify it a bit, and we have this effect. The radius is too low, so let it set it on 1m is too much. 0.5m is better. Okay, and we have this effect that works very well. Now I wanna create another container, and I'll set a bit of margin. Okay, this is the container where there are buttons too, and here blue. Okay, we will see that working because there is a class here. There are buttons. It's working as well, and actually we can modify them as much as we want. For now, just we have to edit our mixin. When we hover with bold, okay, and it will work as well. We see that it's becoming bold. Finally, let's say you want to add some features on the button. We'll write another parameter called hovering effect, and we will set it to false. Not false, for example, true. We're gonna create a certain element before 100%, 100% of the content, the background color, and nothing is happening because there is something wrong. Okay, after giving it another look, I've noticed that the position relative, absolute, okay, we have it again. This is how it should work with 0, and when we hover it, this effect should appear because this pseudo element is getting that width of 100%. And only this happens when hovering effect is not false. If it is not false, it's obvious that it is true. For now, we'll set here false by default, so we'll have to specify this parameter. As you see on this green button, this is the normal hovering, and here it's getting the other hover. I am noticing it is getting both the special and not special hover effect. Therefore, we're gonna set these attributes there and else. Okay, so if this hovering effect is not false, this will happen, but if it is true, this other bar will happen. We will see how to make this code reusability more efficient. Number 3, there are many useful methods to simplify work. We can opt for other programming languages methods on SASS. CSS is not sufficient to use conditionals or dynamic attributes because SASS implements them for the use without need of other programming languages such as Java. Also, we can approach for inline methods, which in spite of not being essential, okay, they ease the designing process. We're gonna increase complexity along the explanation, so keep attention. We're gonna focus on 4 methods. As you've understood, the if and else statements work preferably for mixins whenever we want to parameter the conditions to implement the source of code. If we set a parameter, there will be something that happens. Therefore, it's time to make a hero section from this surprise project that I want to work with you. This is to get your practical experience from this lesson, by the way. Once you see HTML is ready for it, okay, we're gonna create a serial. First, we're gonna use the complement method, the built-in method, inside of the darken one for our background. We're gonna use the complement built-in method function for contrasting the color we want to select for our main. So we have the need of researching it just to simplify the stuffs. Assuming you know how the grid template works, when the direction stays linear for our hero section, we're gonna use it. You can achieve that by declaring the if conditional just like before, when the direction parameter is declared. Because having only 2 options is clearer than when the layout is linear, it will be on the other way. Set it's an else statement right afterwards. Focusing on the block text part where all the text is there. We're gonna write a for method for select each button. In this case, however, we want to make it the most flexible possible, of course, to reuse it on other cases. And for this, we'll assign to the buttons icons. This is denoted just like this: length, icon, color, where icons colors is obviously our parameter. Once this is done, ensure that you update the parameter writing 3 dots to indicate its acceptance of more than a single value. The funny part is that we can actually set mixins aside and then nest them. We're gonna do it just once, okay? We're gonna create our mixin and then another one. Get it into layers. Let's start with this, okay? We have, as you see, actually I have other files, but it doesn't matter really. Not always your folder will be clean of it. It's like a sort of realism, maybe. Okay, so we're writing new hero. By the way, this hero below is obviously written for the art. We're gonna have the obviously the dip. Everything is about dips. Okay, thanks. Okay, this is for centering the website, the section by itself. So we're gonna start see the content. We're gonna open it to see the results right now. Now we're gonna set the text. Okay, so 10 for example, and here we're gonna get the deep. Okay, where the buttons will go. It's not gonna be buttons for this case. We're gonna make it in comparison to the article and more futuristic maybe. And inside of the button, we're gonna use a bootstrap icon again because it's better. Probably the other buttons are pretty hard to insert. And yeah, we have our HTML. Then go to your CSS, okay, new hero.css. I'm gonna grab it there and write mixin. And we're gonna write the new hero with some parameters. And I want to explain how are these parameters. Obviously, the background. Okay, first we're gonna start with that. Sorry, background. Then the main image, I don't know how to explain it to you because it's gonna be the throw image, the big image that appears on the hero section of it, set it on the HTML for making it more flexible. Okay, depending on the hero position. Then here background video, and then the direction and the colors. I didn't forget about that. We're gonna start with this, obviously, writing the typical stuff, the overflow hidden, color white, position relative, background will have color, and that's all. Next, content, position absolute, top, left, width 100%, 100%, the video itself, which is in background, your background video. Now repeats undercover, okay. We're gonna see how does it work. With an opacity of 0.25, okay, this is just for having a background, not letting the hero section empty. I want to leverage this part, noticing that it's fine HTML, my normal HTML. I want to give you a preview about how we're gonna work with importing the files, linking them, etc. Let's say that this is our main HTML, not the component that we are creating. Let's set here a style sheet. We're gonna connect this to the main CSS that we have created because of the SASS. Now we go over there and just import this new hero. We're gonna draw down here. We must include. It's not working because we don't have all the parameters filled. And as you see, we're connecting SAS files to the main one, and then the files generated by this main SAS is gonna be linked to the HTML. That's a preview about how we're gonna work with this. Now, customizing the hero container, okay, for not having overflowed the components, and let's say that we have to actually edit this manually. Okay, this code, I actually use them always, okay, to create this kind of stuff. That's because Codium has it memorized, text align center. I guess that is all for now. Okay, this is miscellaneous. Now let's work on this. So hero content, if that direction is left, we're gonna set the grid, and if it's not, we'll also set the grid but centered. We don't have to specify if it is not left or right, it will be else, and that is pretty much all. So let me set here display grid and grid display columns 1 to 1, but remember mobile first. So we're gonna set the background here, the main image, and no repeat center cover. We must fill this part. First, we fill the background video with this one. And now the colors is gonna be, I don't know, sea green. The direction for now is gonna be left because we'll work first with this one. At the image, let's say futuristic PNG robot white with green face and cool, I don't know, futuristic art PNG robot with a green screen sky blue face, cool, friendly, designers, red. Yeah. It's not that I was a copy for that. If it doesn't work, we're gonna set that once more, just once more. We're gonna set that for now. Now we get this, and it's time to obviously edit this code because this does not look well, and the image is really too big for the hero section. I think this is gonna be on the center, but the height is gonna be 100 view per height. Therefore, we must edit our CSS first and get it save. Now we get that, but I guess having a 75 view per height, this would be with for the horizontal axis 125 view per height for the image. We get this, and updating, having all the control for the margin, padding, box sizing, etc. We get this result. Okay, we have it with 100%, 125, and this is how a we want that and this hero appear. Therefore, if that direction is left, we're gonna get this kind of background. However, we must set the display grid and not the grid content for not having any kind of issues. Okay, and let's edit the H1P as well. So we have over here, we'll open the angle bracket, no, we open the brackets, I don't know, line save of 1M, and the font size over here will be smaller, but I don't want to set that because not all browsers read it well. Therefore, font size, for now we're gonna let it on cloud, just like this, but I also want to edit it by myself and padding of 0.5 and calc this. For the class buttons, we're gonna make it always display flex, no matter how it's the layout or the width itself. Justify content center, we're gonna edit each button inside this group. Inside of the content, the color will be white, and therefore the content of this button will be inherit. Color inherit, padding, for example, I don't know, 0.5, and that's all. But I want to make these buttons rectangular instead of just a square. And the background is gonna be the colors, okay? Background colors, alpha, no? On our main SCSS as well, we get, and this one. It looks very good. I am seeing that this background video is not being displayed. I don't know why, but let me just. This happens because the URL we cannot set it as before. Therefore, we're gonna go onto our new hero and we're gonna eliminate the parameter and delete this parameter and then just edit. We get it, but we must have also autoplay loop and mute. Just for example, no. After we're going to make it flexible, okay, dynamic. Therefore, if we set a video that has audio, we don't want it. That only to fix this, we have position absolute with 100% width and height 100% and 100% 100 view per height. And because we have this background, we cannot see the result we want. However, we can set this just like that, and that's everything we need. Okay, and the reason why we don't have it just like we want is because of this one. This video must go outside of the hero edit container. Therefore, we can now see how this works. And while it is loading, we can edit the code just to make it a little bit prettier. Now we set this container with overlay, for video overlay, and the video tag and all this stuff typical for having this result. By the way, we are gonna want obviously to have this one, okay, background darken, and color obviously the background 90% just to make it prettier. And there we go. I will set some green deep S92. Again, we save it and we get something like this. Now we set another class and right hero text for container for to happen. We have to set to the hero content display grid and play columns 1FR and 1FR. We want to start from mobile. As I said before, we have to set a media query beginning from. We set only 1FR. And then begin here, set media screen from 1200 pixels from the PC view. Hero content, we set written plate columns to 1FR and 1FR respectively. For now, we don't have something because we also want to modify the background. We're gonna set it outside of the hero content on a general perspective. We're gonna set here media, and then this is gonna be for the hero content. The background is gonna be general. This is for the PC screen viewpoint. Here we set cover and the other one is center, just for editing a bit. Once we get an Excel viewpoint, we get what we want. But for now, you can start with a mobile version. Now we must add some padding, okay, because this looks pretty bad. I let it to 2.5 and that is all. Only for the y-axis. Okay. Yeah, this looks pretty well. Okay, and to get this result, we just do everything like this. Okay, this is before actually, not after, because if it is after, we're not have the video, okay, on a higher layer. Therefore, we just have it like this, and I think I will set the video to 0.5 for opacity. I like to make it more visible, but I guess that will not work exactly. We have to make some adjustments about the position itself. Okay, so therefore, if we set it to the center, Okay, the parameter is equal to center. We're gonna get something like this. The direction parameter, obviously, if it is not left, it's gonna be center because we will set just two options. This is center, the background itself is also gonna be, or we set it over here, and we must check it out. I could write center, but you will see that it wanna work as well. Yes, we must just edit a little bit. Actually, the buttons themselves are independent of the direction. Okay, the decoration of the buttons. Therefore, we're gonna set it also outside. All of this is outside. Now let's set it over here. And like we must only keep what is on left to right and center. Okay, the difference will be remarked highlighted on the direction themselves. Therefore, we can actually this code of block will be kept as well on the center direction. Now we see that it's working. Just on the left side, we have that this thing is gonna work as well. We must set it to 100 viewport height to cover it pretty much well. Not exactly. This is too much. And therefore 100 viewport height, 150 is too much as well. So content will have, I think, less width, just like this. I don't know, 10 m on a way in which this title and text match. We must center this one. Therefore, we're gonna go onto our hero text. We don't have it actually, but it doesn't matter. We must set it here. A hero text. Set all inside, and on this side, this rule are just margin for the right. Now, once we get this, only we have to overview it. Okay, how I see it on mobile. Ctrl+Shift+C, and you'll see that for now it is not working very well because we are not editing it for the mobile version. Therefore, this only will happen whilst it's on the PC version, but on the PC screen viewpoint. Therefore, we must do it over here and set media screen, this stuff, because for the mobile version and pretty much for the mobile version, no matter how we are setting it to left to right, right to left, on the center, it doesn't matter. Actually, we must only change this stuff when we are on the PC viewpoint. Therefore, on the mobile version, we have this, and just we must edit the center image just like that. It's off here, left to right at the beginning, it's gonna be over here. Okay, no matter how left to right or right, etc., you're gonna set the background image at the mobile version first. And hero content over therefore hero content over there, and then this hero text is gonna be inside. It will be nested to this point. And yes, it is working. Okay, therefore select the center, and as you can see, it should work very well because it is working. Okay, and something random is happening here. I don't know why. And the hero content is must be nothing. It's something bad. I guess that's the hero container. Yeah. Plus it's overflowing, no? Yeah. Therefore we build this. That's all. Okay, and this is how we get just at the beginning. It's gonna be over here, and this is outside. Where is it getting? This background image, I want to like it because it is just for ordering the code in a way it could be pretty. Maybe I would like to know where this background is lined out. It is not on the bit overlay on the hero edit. Exactly. Therefore, only you're there. The hero edit. It's gonna be the background, and that's all. That's pretty much everything we have to do. Therefore, we set it, and when it's loading, we say that on the PC viewpoint, we're getting something. On the mobile version, we are getting something also equal. If we change it, it's gonna be the same thing. Before it was on the center, but when I set it out, we get how we want. Seriously, it looks very well. It's not like a project itself, a draft to make a hero section. Really, it could be part of something, and with these animations, it looks pretty well. But then, finally, just to finish off with this, I would like to show you how can you apply the complement building function. Okay, which, for example, I select sea green for the background, but if you want having a contrast, this and the buttons, we can go there to the G button. Let me set it out here, and I don't know, to set complement Okay, set the variable colors inside of this function. This SC green, it has some complement, something just like this. This is completely the opposite on the color disk. For now, we've selected that we're gonna darken the color themselves, and we can also set the complement right there. I like to use another color just to see how can we get other results. Okay, so I will cover it just to try it, and as you can see, the background gets really pretty while we have something just like this. Its color is, their complement colors are pink. It looks pretty well. The only inconvenience is we cannot differentiate the background with the text too much in comparison to the sea green, but it doesn't matter. We can also fix that. We check it out. Where is the background video? And we set that over there, and we dark the amount. We get something just like this. I have a new idea. The darkening is gonna be 25%. If it is a strong darkening, it would be 50%. So we do that. We're gonna quit this background, not using it anymore. Darkening is well, we can just set it else. Set into a strong dark. We must set that at the end of the parameters. As you can see, we are setting the same thing that we set. Strong dark. We're gonna get a strong darkening for our background video. 50% is too much. We can't differentiate too much. Maybe this is better. Point number 3, you have already a professional setup for making your projects. It's really easy to set up on your SaaS projects and start kind of complex workspace. Okay, you may find on senior engineers or more experienced. Primarily, our projects are gonna be order, okay, like this: CSS, HTML, scripts, and SCSS. Everything we edit on the SCSS will be generated here. And how can we do that? Because if we don't configure this stuff, we are gonna get these CSS files over there, and we must change it manually, and we don't want to do that. Therefore, go to Visual Studio Code. We must have the extension called Live SASS Compiler. Go to Settings and just write SASS formats. Go to the JSON, and you must edit this part, write /CSS, because it's within all the folder that is for this tutorial, and it will go /CSS, which is this folder, and everything will go saved there. Obviously with the extension .css, because this is the programming language that we are using. Point number 4, use templates. This is the best SaaS practice that you can have. One of the best beginner-friendly methods for using SaaS in HTML templates is by using the Vue.js library. This approach is particularly helpful for those who are struggling with the Vue extension and all the local setup environment that this JavaScript framework has. Just JavaScript with the library. We're going to use a piece of code that is this one, and as you can see, we're gonna set it to this JavaScript, and we are connecting everything, and eventually where a component will be made just on this same exact. Therefore, it's time to do that. Okay, we're gonna create our components. Follow the name doesn't even matter. Okay, but we're gonna create a new hero and a JavaScript file again, new hero. Okay, and actually our CSS can be moved here over there. We can create a CSS file, and we can create a CSS folder to place our new hero over there. And as I told you, on the JS file, we want to copy paste this, okay? And here's gonna be the HTML code. If you don't know how to dynamize your code, okay, for the Vue.js approach, we're gonna do it with the support of ChatGPT. And once we ask it, okay, to dynamize this code, we get something just like this. I go over there, and it's gonna write in everything through edit, the video, a title, description, and for the video source. Once we get that, we just copy paste it over there. I don't want to make this rigid, therefore I will change it to class item icon. Now we only have to edit our database section. We'll have the title new section and the paragraph soon, okay? And we're gonna change the icons for house, WhatsApp, Instagram, and then we have the name for the template, okay? And we must only set a div, okay, with this ID. Okay, what is gonna be the ID that they want? New hero, for example. And now to the main GS file, okay, in this case it's gonna be over there. we must only set the same thing. Okay, this case is gonna be with the name of the new constant, which is in new hero, only set out path. Getting back to the HTML, we're gonna write a script to include our main.js with a type of module. Don't forget to do that. New hero, this is where all our code is gonna be, because we have the ID of new hero and everything is gonna be included on this ID. Okay, fixing some mistakes, having all of this, we actually set up, okay, with JavaScript and SASS, okay, on the HTML, and what remains to do this, and just to edit a little bit the code, because as you may notice, we must actually include on the main CSS the new path to the new hero section. Therefore, we'll go over there and just set it out and queue, and then the main CSS over here, and that's all. That's pretty much everything we have. Okay, the icons are not working because we have the declaration for bootstrap icons. For fixing a little bit this, we get the result we want, and as you can see, actually the title is not getting as we want. Okay, we want it only on a 9, but because of the size, etc., we get this kind of title, and therefore what can we do about on our data? Okay, we get this, and what we want is if the title it has more than 12 letters, the size is going to be reduced a little bit. The same thing with the description, okay, that we have a lot of ciao, etc. Only we require an attribute that is called this text wrap, okay, wrap. Yes, we must do over here text wrap normal. I guess that's the default value. Therefore, we're gonna go on to balance pretty stable wrap. We're gonna go onto pretty for now, and we're gonna get something just like this, okay, new hero section, and that's all. That looks very well. They're applying on the stuff, the reusability of code, and see how powerful is actually a CSS or SASS or SASS, okay, whatever you want. Okay, I want to have a final observation, and that is about the CSS. The vanilla version wins only in one thing. This is actually the end of the video, and I thank you for engaging in this interesting discussion about enhancing the CSS properties, powers. CSS and SASS may initially seem like entirely new words compared to vanilla CSS. As you've seen throughout this comparison, okay, they offer simplicity and elegance to achieve faster the desired results, even though we haven't used SASS itself, okay, the most simplified version. We understand that actually both are really similar, and doesn't matter if you use SASS or SASS, it works anyway. All the properties work anyway. And yes, even though this point may seem presumptuous again, it remains a little bit valid anyway. CSS wins only on one thing, and that is about the calculations. While SASS calculations provide convenience, they may not always perform as efficiently as the vanilla counterparts. For example, let me finish off with this. And let's say that we have a div, okay, and this div is the class actually. We have the width, okay, and the only way in which we can use the SASS calculations is with the same units. Therefore, you can use 100% minus 20%, and this is pretty obvious that it will return 80% as the value. But if we go to the vanilla CSS calc function, we can do this as well, but obviously this is too obvious, and therefore we can also do this, okay, whatever is 100%, okay, it doesn't matter how large or how narrow it is, we can subtract it to 1m, and that's actually very useful. And the same way we can do this with a viewport width, etc. This is how we can perform the CSS vanilla version. If we set it this, it means that we are using SASS, and SASS will not perform. And yes, we can find, okay, a specific case in which this may be useful, or in a certain scenario where involving the values of various digits can be useful, but this hardly happens. Programmers, we actually tend to round the numbers and to simplify the things, because if we simplify the things that need to be simplified, we can focus on other stuff. What do you think about SASS? Will you embrace this kind of evolution of CSS? Okay, so let us know in the comments what do you think about this and how this can be useful for. Subscribe to the Cipheros channel, and thanks for watching this programming video. We'll see you whenever it's time to go.